At 3:03 a.m., when the campus clock tower chimed, its lonely metallic echo across the empty streets, 6 exhausted college friends. Eleanor, Marcus, Lydia, Sean, Tessa, and Brandon waited at the deserted bus stop after finishing a late-night study project, unaware that the bus, approaching them, was not the usual campus shuttle, but something much older, much colder, and far more aware of them than any public transport should ever be. The headlights didn't glow but pulsed like slow heartbeats. The metal body seemed to exhale a fog that slithered around their feet. And yet, desperate to get home, they boarded without hesitation, stepping into a dim interior that smelled faintly of dust, grave soil, something metallic they couldn't identify. And the moment the door sealed behind them with an oddly organic hiss, the windows flickered like dying screens before fading completely, leaving only walls that seemed to stretch and pulse, subtly reshaping themselves as if the bus were breathing. The driver never turned toward them, his elongated neck and perfectly smooth, faceless head covered in pale skin that reflected the ceiling lights like polished wax, his hands gripping the steering wheel too tightly, knuckles unnaturally long, and although he never opened a mouth, a voice echoed inside their minds, layered with hundreds of whispers, announcing in a flat, dispassionate tone, "Next stop. Requires sacrifice," sending a chill through the group, who nervously laughed it off, till the first sudden lurch made the aisle elongate impossibly like a rubber corridor, stretching farther than any real bus could, while the overhead lights dimmed to a sickly, flickering glow that cast long, trembling shadows. Eleanor tried to pull out her phone, but it displayed only static, then a message she didn't type, "One must pay," and before she could react, the bus jolted to its first stop, an impossible platform floating in black void outside the missing windows, and the whisper inside their minds said, "Passenger chosen." At the same time, a cold draft wrapped around Marcus's ankles, dragging him down the aisle as the floor turned translucent, like icy water beneath him, showing a swirling darkness below, where faint silhouettes reached upward. The group tried to grab him, but an invisible force pulled him through the floor in an instant. His frightened eyes, the last thing visible before the surface sealed again, smooth and motionless as the bus resumed driving through the void. Panic erupted, with Lydia screaming and pounding on the walls only for the material to ripple like stretched skin, while Sean tried to confront the faceless driver, but collided with an unseen barrier that hummed with faint electrical pulses, and all the while the voice repeated, "Next stop. Requires sacrifice," as if it were inevitable mechanical fate, though the seats elongated and twisted, shifting positions, forming narrow aisles that forced the remaining 5 to move closer to the front, and Tessa felt something, brushing her shoulder, although nothing was visible, just a faint chill that lingered even when she moved. Suddenly the bus halted again, lights going completely still, and shadows on the ceiling curled like smoke, coiling toward Lydia, wrapping around her wrists and ankles, though nothing solid touched her, but she began sliding upward anyway, levitating toward the roof where the shadows thickened until they engulfed her completely, her muffled whimper fading as she vanished into the ceiling, leaving behind only the faint impression of fingers pressing outward before dissolving. The walls pulsed again, the aisle shrank, and the remaining 4 huddled together in terrified silence as the bus accelerated into deeper darkness, the engine's hum now mixing with faint whispers calling each of their names. Sean tried to break the door, kicking it repeatedly until the metal rippled like water, refusing to open, and when he turned back, the seats were rearranging again, narrower, closer, almost funneling him toward a particular spot near the rear, where the lights dimmed to near blackness. And before anyone could react, the bus screeched to its next impossible stop. The voice echoed, "Passenger chosen," and Sean's legs froze, unable to move, his fingers clawing at the seat edges, while an immense pressure pushed him backward as though hands of air were shoving him into the darkness of the rear row, where his outline flickered like a dying flame before extinguishing entirely as the shadows swallowed him whole.
And the remaining 3.
Leonard, Tessa, and Brandon clung to each other, trembling, realizing with a cold horror that the bus didn't care about bravery or strength. It had already chosen the order, and it would not stop until its fare was complete. As the bus continued, the walls became transparent, revealing not roads but swirling vortexes of pale faces outside, drifting like drowned souls pressed against invisible glass, watching them with hollow eyes. their mouths opening in silent screams as though begging to be replaced. The driver raised one long finger, pointing it slowly toward the ceiling where a faint red glow appeared, spelling the next name in letters shaped like smoke, Tessa. She backed away shaking, but the bus had already dimmed around her, isolating her in a circle of shadow, and even as Brandon tried to grab her hand, their fingers passed through each other like mist, the bus altering space itself. She let out a soft, terrified plea as the floor beneath her turned into a swirling vortex of fog. Realizing she was the only survivor, and as the distant campus bell rang, 3:03 a.m. Once more her phone lit up with 6 new notifications, voice messages from each of her friends, recorded moments after they vanished.